Your Magic the Gathering news report is brought to you in part by the channel MTG Anarchy, where we take a look into the world of Magic the Gathering and throw a little bit of mischief and chaos into the mix. Welcome to your Magic the Gathering news report, Product Edition. My name is Michael, it is great to see you here. Today's report focuses on the new product coming out, the Signature Spellbook Chandra Edition. And for those who aren't really familiar with these, let me go ahead and explain what they are. The Spellbook series, like the one you are seeing on screen, focuses around a specific planeswalker, whether it's Jace or Gideon. This year it's Chandra, and there's different cards that go along with this planeswalker. Now that brings up the topic of these really aren't for everyone, in the sense of if you're interested in this product, or if you want to collect them, or if you're interested in the specific planeswalker that they are presenting, then yes, they may be more for you than those who don't really have a care for the specific planeswalker. But for many individuals, it's not about the specific planeswalker, but the cards that come with said planeswalker. Within this product are going to be 9 different cards, 8 of which are non-foil and 1 of which is foil. I will say, before getting into the cards, that the look of the product, especially with how Chandra looks pretty good. Honestly, to me, like I said, it still doesn't really interest me, but I mean, for that type of art within the box, it looks good. So I will say that, like the other planeswalkers, this one has its own little flair to it. Pun intended. Getting into the cards, we are going to be first looking at the planeswalker herself, Chandra, Torch of Defiance. She costs 2 colorless and 2 red mana to cast. She has a loyalty counter up to 4 immediately and does the following. +1, exile the top card of your library. You may cast that card. If you don't, Chandra, Torch of Defiance, deals 2 damage to each opponent. The second +1, add 2 red mana. -3, Chandra, Torch of Defiance, deals 4 damage to a target creature. And -7, you get an emblem with, whenever you cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to any target. Now please keep in mind that with all these cards, they have all been printed before, and so there are other versions of these types of cards, but going in depth on this card specifically, honestly, I will say it looks just like the other one that we've already seen beforehand. It's just they went ahead and put that text over a full image of what Chandra is supposed to look like. So a full art, but with that lightened text to it. So again, to me, it looks good, but it's not something, unless I'm going to be playing with the card, that I would want to go ahead and collect. Next up, we have Cathartic Reunion. This sorcery costs a generic 1 mana and a red mana to cast, and as an additional cost to cast the spell, discard 2 cards to draw 3 cards. Now, I will say that with this card, it looks exactly like the one that they printed for Kaladesh, with Chandra really hugging her mother, Jaya. Honestly, to me, they could have done something different with the art. They could have made a full art like they did with the Chandra Planeswalker version of it, where it's a little bit more in depth and detail. But again, to me, it's just they took the same image for the art and just put a new border on it. And honestly, it's not something that interests me. If it may interest you, that's fine, that's okay, you can go ahead and get it. But to me, I'm not interested in this card. Next, we have Fiery Confluence. This sorcery spell costs 2 generic mana and 2 red mana and does the following. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Fiery Confluence deals 1 damage to each creature. Fiery Confluence deals 2 damage to each opponent. Destroy target artifact. I like this card. I think this card really just needed a reprint. I wish there was a different type of art than what we've already seen before. But honestly, to me, I think that this is just a really good card in really a lot of different formats that are out there. So if you're wanting to build a deck that does a lot of damage to your opponent, or just wipe the board, at least for creatures that have toughness 3 or less, or even just get rid of some artifacts that are bothering you, this is a great way to do it. And I think for the amount of mana that you're paying for it is a really good amount. So I like this card. Next, we have Past in Flames, which this sorcery costs 3 colorless and a red mana to cast, and does the following. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gain flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost, and it has a flashback cost of 4 colorless and a red mana to cast, which you may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost,
then exile it.
I don't see an issue with this card, especially when it comes to reprintability. I feel all cards need a reprint sometime or another, and I feel in this sort of form it looks good. I wish it was more of that full art sort of form rather than just how they're doing it with these sorts of looks, but honestly it's a really decent card. I mean, it's for those decks that you know you're going to be flashing stuff back and casting stuff from your graveyard and that sort of thing. So honestly, to me, I felt it needed a reprint, but to see how much play it's going to get, I don't necessarily know, especially with my play group, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Next we have Pyroblast, which for 1 red mana, this instant does the following. Choose one. Counter target spell if it's blue, or destroy target permanent if it's blue.
I will say out of all the cards that have been presented thus far, this one to me is the most important, just because of the fact that I know a lot of the people in my play group like to play with blue cards. They like to play with islands and that sort of thing like that. So this is a great way to go ahead and stop those players from really getting ahead, and only costs 1 red mana to do so. So I felt that this needs a reprint, and I'm glad that they went ahead and reprinted it. Our next card up is Pyromancer Ascension, which for a colorless and a red mana, to cast this enchantment, it does the following. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that has the same name as a card in your graveyard, you may put a quest counter on Pyromancer Ascension. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, while Pyromancer Ascension has 2 or more quest counters on it, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Now this card to me is going to be very powerful in multi-card formats. Honestly, it makes sense in those formats, but as a commander player, I just don't see the versatility in it, especially since you're playing in a singleton format, and unless you're playing with a deck that has the allowance of individuals playing with the same type of card over and over, you're not really going to see this being played. So again, to me, I think it's going to be very good, and it is probably good in multi-card formats, but singleton formats, I don't think it cuts it. So good collector card though.
Our next card is Rite of Flame, which for 1 red mana, this sorcery does the following. Add 2 red mana, then add 1 red mana for each card named Rite of Flame in each graveyard.
I will say this is a good card. I will say that for multi-card formats that people will probably play with this card, and I believe people have. Even in Commander, I mean, that one used to get 2 red mana for 1 red mana is a benefit. However, I don't think it's going to be played as much as it would in a multi-card format like Standard or Modern or anything like that, that already know how this card works and already know how to abuse this card. Really cool card though, but again, I don't think it just has a lot to do in a Commander-like format.
Last but not least, we have Young Pyromancer, which this human shaman costs a colorless and a red mana to cast, has a power and toughness of 2/1, and does the following. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token.
Now, to me, I do like this card. I think that it does see play in a lot of elemental-like decks where you can just go ahead and keep pumping out elements, especially if you're casting instants or sorceries in general. So it's a good spell slinger / army builder sort of thing. And honestly, to me, I wish they would have gone ahead and done a young-looking Chandra, a younger looking Chandra, than just a specific reprint. Honestly, to me, it looks more, it would have had a better look, especially when it comes to something like this, because we're focusing on Chandra, and to have Young Pyromancer here, which again, to me, it just doesn't have that Chandra feel to it. Honestly, I wish that with all of these cards in general, that they would have resembled Chandra a little bit better, or had different arts of Chandra and done something different than what we've already seen before. But again, that's just my thoughts on cards such as this or other cards in general. Before we get to my thoughts on this product, let's talk about what Wizards of the Coast has to say about this product. Signature Spellbook Chandra is a collection of 8 cards plus 1 premium foil version of one of those 8 cards at random. It's the ideal way to show your love of Chandra, stylize your commander deck, or just help the world burn. In a good way. Now,
with this signature spellbook in general, it will be available to individuals to purchase from their local game stores around June 26th of 2020. And so honestly, if you do want to go ahead and pick up this spellbook, go for it. I think if you're a collector that likes these sorts of things, or if you are just an individual that likes Chandra in general, I think this is a great include to your collection. Playability wise, there's some really great cards in there as well. I mean, for just multi-card formats, I've saw a couple that I actually liked. Even in a singular format like Commander, there was the Young Pyromancer that was really good. There was a couple of others that I liked. But for me personally, and this is my own opinion, honestly, I wish they would have done more than just thrown the same image with a different border on it. I wish they would have done something better. I wish they would have hired artists to go ahead and be creative with the Chandra character, especially with what the initial sort of box looks like. The box itself was very creative. These, on the other hand, it seems like they're just reprints with a different border on them. And honestly, I wish they would have done something a little bit different. Even with Young Pyromancer. I mean, come on, Wizards. You know for a fact that if you're focusing on a Chandra Planeswalker, you should have made Young Pyromancer a younger looking Chandra. I mean, that's my own opinion. But what's your guys' opinions? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Is this a good product? Is it not a good product? Let me know. But with that said, that was your Magic the Gathering news report product review here on the channel MTG Anarchy. Before you go, if you could, I would appreciate it if you could go ahead and like and share this video, so that way it gets out into the algorithm, so that way more people can see videos like this. Also, I would appreciate it if you can go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell notification if this is your first time on the channel or you haven't already done so you can keep up to date with any new videos that do come out here on the channel MTG Anarchy. And finally, if you can do so, I would appreciate it if you can go support your local game stores in this time of need. We are all one community. We should all be supporting one another, especially right now with everything going on. So if you can and you're financially stable, I would appreciate it if you could go ahead and support your local game stores. But thank you guys so much for watching this Magic the Gathering news report here on the channel MTG Anarchy. My name is Michael. It is great to see you guys, and thank you so much for watching.